be going over the config package, dependency checkers, and the push record functionality within the config package, Rapidstart functionality that's already brought to you by Microsoft. Now, assuming that you watched the other tutorial videos, I will briefly go over this. The 2 pages you do need to configure, or take a look at least, is the BEX Dependency West, which takes care of dependencies that aren't established through table relations within the table, through the metadata. There's really no way to tell a document to look at all of these lines. Or maybe you have custom tables or custom document tables that you need to link the lines, or just fields in general that aren't defined by table relations. This page will help fix that issue. One other thing you want to take a look at is the dependency depth checker in the BEX configuration page. So this is essentially the dependency depth that is essentially the limit that our engines are allowed to go to when a record's found. Now, automatically, our dependency is going to check if a record is not found in the target environment. It's automatically going to check the dependencies within that record. But for example, if a record is found in that environment, we are typically, when you have it at 0, it doesn't check those dependencies, because it assumes that all those dependencies are already taken care of in the target environment. But adding a depth to this allows our engine to even check that record dependencies despite it already existing. This just ensures that, for example, if you have a customer record that already exists in your target environment you're trying to push to, but there's a customer posting group that does not exist there, adding this length of 1 will make sure that it does check that customer posting group. But now, if there's a field in the customer posting group and the value in that doesn't exist on the target environment, it won't check that because dependency length is 1. Now, if it's 2, 3, it would. So it really depends. You just got to find what your team's looking for. It's good to keep it minimal, but not minimal to the point where you're not being able to find all the dependencies you need and you're running into errors. But it's also good to not keep it too high, because now you're running into runtime issues. So once we've taken a look at that, I'm going to set that as 1 for now. We're going to go into config package, and a lot of consultants and the users, and this essential, are very, very, very familiar with this. So we tried to implement our technologies and our engine into config package just to give you a good user experience. You already know a lot about config package. If not, there's a lot of great documentation provided by Microsoft. But now you have these great tools at disposal. Unfortunately, Microsoft doesn't do a good job of taking care of dependencies. Luckily, we're able to fill the gap to help fix that. So let's make this test for now. And we are going to bring in, let's bring in the sales header. We use this for our push record wizard example. Or you should click no, you could click yes. You'll still check the dependencies within those tables, or how many other tables you want in here. You know, let's actually go through all of these and check the dependencies for all of them. But for now, I'm just going to do 1. And we want to click the scan dependencies button. Now a pop-up is going to come up. It's very lengthy. Essentially, it's just going to ask, do we want to check if it exists in the target environment? And if it doesn't exist in the target environment, we add that table to the config package. So essentially, it's going through all of the records, in this case, the sales headers. It's going to check if it's in the target environment. Now, if every record exists in the target environment, it's not going to add it to this list, but it will check if your depth is greater than 0. It's going to check within that table, dependencies within that table. But if it doesn't exist, it will automatically add that and move on to the next dependency to check. Now, if we hit no, it's just going to automatically add everything, which honestly, that might be the easiest way to get all of your dependencies. But if you're very specific, like I just want to pull in these tables, I just want to pull in those tables, you could click yes. So for now, I'm going to hit no. And when you hit no, dependency depth length that we configured in the BEX configuration doesn't really matter anymore. Dev, let it Cronus. And it's going to do its magic. It might take a while just because it has to go through everything. But I guess while that's going, after this is done running, we'll be prompted with the message to push this config package to the environment that was selected earlier in company. So it'll do that automatically, and it'll run the package. Now, if you don't want to run the package, you can just click no and do it yourself whenever you want to do it and import it yourself. And sometimes when it's a little bit too big, it won't be able to push it. So in that case, you'll just have to do it yourself right here. So for now, I'm just going to click no. But as you can see here, it pulled in the sales header and sales lines, but nothing else because everything already exists in the other environment. And the same thing will happen if we hit scan dependencies and click if it exists. It'll only have these two tables because automatically with the sales headers, it's going to pull in the sales lines associated with the sales headers. Unfortunately, it won't delete these lines, even if they do exist, just because those are our starting point. But I mean, with the config package, even if we do upload these and apply it, you should be fine based on typical config package apply package rules. Usually when a record does exist, you either modify it or just skip over it based on whatever selections you want here. It's just great. Anything you do here, when you do hit push config package tracking, which this is the same thing as the question that we were presented with at the end of scan dependencies, we're going to push all the settings you have here over to config package in the other environment and run it. So a little bit about that, and that I think solves a big headache that consultants have, especially when importing and exporting config packages. You run into all these dependencies, and now this could take care of everything for you. So thank you guys for checking in with config package capabilities we have, presenting you guys with the BEX record pusher. Now, if you guys have any questions, feel free to hit up our support page at carriersco.com.